Which begs the question, what are the four players that the Indiana Fever should core to make sure that no team can touch them?
4 exits, 1 franchise under the microscope, and a fan base asking the only question that matters. Where did those players go? And what does it mean for Indiana's future around its star engine? Today, we're doing a full, no-fluff roll call. Where they landed, how they're building, and the most likely paths back to the big stage. This isn't a eulogy, it's a roadmap. Released doesn't mean finished, it means rerouted.
Before we zoom in on each name, let's set the board. The WNBA is brutally efficient. Limited rosters, hard choices, and zero room for sentimentality when a team is aligning everything around a franchise cornerstone. Cuts aren't always about talent. They're about timing, fit, and the logic puzzle of minutes. Indiana has a vision centered on a dynamic guard pulling gravity from the logo and a dominant big anchoring the paint. That blueprint tightens every depth chart decision, especially at guard and forward. The 4 players we're tracking, Bree Hall, Jaylen Brown, Yvonne Ejim, and Jillian Alleney, didn't lose, they entered the most ruthless and opportunity-rich phase of a pro's journey, the Prove It Tour.
Let's start with Bree Hall, because her path screams upside. Her first look in Indy was the classic blink in its over introduction. A camp window, a few preseason reps, then the numbers game snapped shut. But here's what matters. She didn't disappear. A late summer opening with an expansion club gave her a 7-day hardship deal, and she translated that into real game tape. That's gold. Not just because of the minutes, but because those minutes happened in a brand new system with teammates she barely knew against defenders who did not care about her learning curve. If you can survive that chaos without flinching, you've got something coaches love: plug-and-play readiness. Bree's next chapter looks like this.
4, and now you got the FBI involved. People are wondering where the higher-ups involved.
Winter ball to stack live reps, a refined handle under pressure, and a faster trigger from the wing. She's already shown the defensive juice coaches crave, sticking with ball handlers through screens, shaping drives without fouling, and closing out to shooters like every possession is a test. Now it's about adding layers. Rumors suggest she's been leaning into catch-to-drive counters and stronger finishes through contact. That's perfect. The W eats wings who hesitate. If Bree transforms open look into automatic release and closeout panic into 2 dribbles and a jumper, her next camp won't feel like a tryout. It'll feel like an audition for real rotation minutes.
Slide over to Jaylen Brown, the definition of resilience. She experienced the churn, cut late, scooped up on a hardship by a playoff-caliber program, gave them minutes, then got caught in the roster squeeze again when injured players returned. That cycle is brutal on the ego, but it's a resume builder if you're paying attention. Jaylen showed she can walk into a new playbook midweek and still help. Set mean screens, find the soft spots in zone, hit that corner 3 when the ball whips around, then flip into defense first mode and guard up a slot. Coaches don't forget that stuff. They remember who does the non-glam work without a pep talk. For Jaylen, the growth path is equal parts skill and story. Skill, add a 1-dribble pull-up or a quick baseline cut read so defenders can't sit on her catch and shoot.
Very genuine here, and it's just real and authentic. Like, I love everybody's just demeanor. People want the best out of everybody, and that's just what I live for, and that's what I want to continue to project to as well.
Story, keep proving she can be dropped into any lineup and elevate structure, not just stats. There's a reason mid-season contenders stash names like hers on speed dial. The league's calendar is long, the bodies get tired, and the first wing who can give 8 clean minutes without breaking anything earns a second look. If she pounds the winter pavement and returns with a tighter release and sharper reads, she's a mid-year call-up waiting to happen.
Now let's talk about Yvonne Ejim. whose journey is the quiet thriller of the group. The release in Indy was a headline. The follow-up was a plot twist: national team wraps. Nothing changes a player's trajectory like being trusted on a senior international stage. It's not just the minutes, it's the different geometry of the game. FIBA ball is a clinic in angles and leverage, short rolls, quick slips, crafty footwork, and touch off glass in traffic. That world fits Ejim's profile like a glove. High motor, sturdy frame, soft hands, and a willingness to do the unsexy stuff. Fight for inside position, sprint the lane line, high-low seal, and contest without reaching. The plan that makes the most sense for Ejim is a 2-season build. Season 1, be a usage monster overseas. Test the face-up jumper at volume. Live at the short corner and master the kick-out when help crashes.
It's like the best opportunity I could have asked for.
Given having a competitive camp, what has been your approach, knowing, hey, I got to go out and earn it?
Yeah, just being a sponge, soaking everything up that I can, learning from the people out there, the people that I'm playing.
Season 2, bring that film to camp and dare a coach to say no. The archetype she's chasing is the trustable fourth big, the forward who eats glass, finishes the easy ones, and buys your stars 4 perfect minutes on either side of a quarter break. Every playoff team wants one. Ejim has the tools. The tape will make the case.
Finally, Jillian Allione, the veteran center whose stat lines overseas are a rebounding masterclass. Her W window in Indy didn't stick this time, but her international resume hums along. Double-doubles, second jump putbacks, and a feel for the ball in a crowd that you can't teach. There's a reason her name floats around whenever a team loses a big mid-season. Coaches know exactly what they're getting: a pro who runs the floor, walls up without fouling, and vacuum seals the defensive glass. Sometimes, the smartest career move is stability overseas, with a bat signal ready stateside. When the call comes, late June, early July, whenever fate strikes, Jillian's game doesn't need a custom fit. It's portable, plug-in rebounding with a chance of momentum swinging extra possessions. So where are they now looks like a set of parallel lanes. Bree is the breakout guard candidate, whose winter tape could vault her into a bench role. Jalen is the Swiss Army wing every coach calls when a rotation spring snaps. Ejim is the FIBA-grown forward, sharpening the tools that translate beautifully in May.
It shows the kind of good-hearted people that I'm around.
On the court, what are you trying to demonstrate and leave an impression for them?
My biggest thing is doing the things that I do best, the reasons that they brought me here, which is rebounding, running the floor, shooting, getting in the post.
Allione is the veteran big dominating boards abroad and waiting for the inevitable depth emergency that puts her back on a W bench. 4 routes, all viable, all fueled by the same engine. Stay visible, stack film, and be undeniably useful.
What does this mean for Indiana? 2 truths can live side by side. Truth 1, it's rational to trim around a star nucleus when the team is betting on continuity for the top 6 and hunting specific skill fits for the final spots. Truth 2, cycling through 4 depth pieces this quickly creates fragility. You can't clairvoyantly predict foul trouble, ankle rolls, or the third road game in 4 nights that turns legs to cement. Depth isn't a luxury, it's body armor. And these 4 players represented different types of armor: perimeter on-ball defense, wing physicality, energy at the 4, and rebounding insurance at the 5. There's also the reality of chemistry. Fans sometimes write off bench pieces as interchangeable, but the 12th player can change a practice. They can raise the floor of your scrimmage intensity, sharpen your starters with real resistance, and keep the locker room balanced on back-to-backs when everyone's cooked. The Fever best-case scenario is simple. Keep the phone lines warm. If you release someone who fits your culture, don't sever the relationship. Be the organization that says, we might not have the spot today, but we see you. If the map shifts, you're our first call. That approach doesn't just help in a pinch, it builds a reputation players talk about.
the expansion draft. Remember, you just lose these players straight up. You don't get anything back for the players. They're gone. We didn't get anything for Temi, did we? No, exactly.
Now, let's zoom out to the league's economics. This is a 12-team world with stacked cores at the top. The middle class lives in the margins. Hardship contracts, 7-day deals, and late-season pickups that tilt one regular season week enough to matter in tiebreakers. That's why these "where are they now" stories should never be treated like epilogues. In this league, they're often preludes. The right overseas run plus a shred of good timing equals she's back in the building faster than your timeline can refresh. For the players, here's the blueprint you'll see them follow because it works. Step 1, pick the right winter situation. Not just the highest paycheck, but the system that highlights your next skill. Bree needs reps as a spacer and secondary handler. Jalen needs corner volume and movement shooting. Ejim needs short roll touches and face-up attempts. Allie needs to keep racking double-doubles and sharpen her coverage calls on switches. Step 2, document everything. Pros aren't just hoopers. They're entrepreneurs in the market of their own film. The tape answers questions when the agent emails hit different. Step 3, stay loud in quiet ways. Be the first in the gym, the last off the floor, and the player who knows every play at 2 positions. That's how you turn a training camp invite into "she's sticking."
For Indiana, there's a chalkboard lesson here that can't be dodged. Protect the core, absolutely, but don't confuse minimalism with efficiency. Efficient teams still carry redundancy. If your star guard is the sun, stock the orbit with players who can absorb burn at her spots without torpedoing spacing or pace. If your franchise big is your anchor, pair her with rebounders and short roll decision makers who keep the ship steady when she sits. That's how you preserve rhythm over a season that tests every soft spot. Let's get spicy for a second and sketch the most likely reunion scenarios, clearly labeled as possibilities, not promises. Scenario 1. A wing on a rival goes down mid-season, and that team raids the hardship list. But Indiana sees the same list and moves first, calling Jalen to shore up a week of road games and physical matchups. Scenario 2. A brutal stretch against big front courts exposes a rebounding gap, and Jillian's phone lights up with a "how fast can you get here" text. Scenario 3. A scoring drought from the second unit turns every possession into mud, and Bree arrives as a pace injection, collapsing the paint off the catch so the second unit breathes. Scenario 4. The Fever need fresh legs at the 4 with real motor, and Ejim's overseas tape screams "now." None of these are guarantees, but all of them are plausible in a league where one bad landing can rewrite a month.
What about the narrative around trust and messaging? It matters. Fans latch on to clarity. If the plan is to churn the edges of the roster until the perfect complements to the stars click, say that out loud. If the draft and develop track is a season-long experiment, say that too. Ambiguity feels like noise. Honesty feels like direction. And direction builds patience even when the scoreboard dips. Here's the part I love about all 4 of these players. They already understand the assignment. Every one of them has demonstrated the pro virtues that tend to age well. Effort that doesn't flicker, roles embraced without ego, and steady growth under unfamiliar lights. That's why "Where Are They Now" isn't a gossip segment. It's a scouting update. The market rewards those traits, maybe not today, but inevitably. Coaches sleep better at night knowing their 10th, 11th, and 12th options won't sabotage possessions. That's how a contender actually survives the calendar.
So, if you're a Fever fan keeping tabs, here's your watch list. For Bree, 3-point volume and quick decisions on the catch. No pump fake purgatory. For Jalen, corner triples, strong screens, and the first step when defenders fly by. For Ejim, pop to that 15 to 18-foot window and short roll dimes to shooters. For Aliene, defensive command, talking through coverages, anchoring the back line, and vacuuming every 50-50 rebound.
Those are the in-game breadcrumbs that become camp invites, then rotation minutes, then, wait, how did we ever cut her? Let's land this with a truth the algorithm doesn't always like. Being released can be a career accelerator. It clarifies the job description. After the cut, there's no pretending. You know exactly what the league is asking you to be, or you find out fast. For these four, the assignment is clear. Be impossible to ignore at what you do best. Bree, terrorize closeouts and lift the second unit. Jalen, be the wing who makes schemes work. Ejim, own the middle spaces and tilt possession counts. Alain, eat glass and stabilize chaos. None of that is glamorous on a highlight reel. All of it wins games in March.
And for Indiana, the verdict is still being written. If the plan is as focused as they say, stars insulated by smart, durable role players, then keep building with urgency and clarity. Maintain the lines to the players you cut. Be ready to pivot without pride when injuries and foul trouble test your depth. The teams that admit what they need and move decisively are the ones still playing when everybody else is packing. 4 exits, 4 different journeys, unfolding in real time. The headline wasn't the end, it was to be continued. Check the box scores this winter. Watch the clips that surface on your feed. Listen for the calls that start with, "Hey, quick question, are you in shape?" That's how comebacks announce themselves in this league. And when one or more of these names pops back onto your screen in the spring, don't call it a surprise. Call it what it is. The next step in a plan that never really stopped, just changed routes. Because in the W, the margins are razor thin. The doors open suddenly, and the players who keep their engines warm are always one message away from walking through. Released isn't the label, it's the launch. Keep your eyes up. The next chapter is already in motion.